Hey everybody, I just wanted to show up today and let you see my new earrings. Aren't they super cool? Got the logo on the front. I got some leopard on the back. I put that out to everybody in a text, and a couple of you ladies have said you want a pair, so I've got them if you want them. Super cute. I've got some that just have black glitter on the back of them. Guys, you're welcome to get them too, but you got to promise me you'll wear them. All right, do a little training right here. I want to talk about dot loop. Some of you are experts on this, and you can just hit pause or whatever and go get a cup of coffee, come back. But lots of you are having trouble with dot loop. So just a couple of things to remember. If you'll get on your dot loop page and scroll all the way down to the bottom, Help Center. Click on the Help Center. There's a loops page, and there's an inside a loop. There, you can check those. I promise you most of your questions will be answered, and you'll learn it officially how dot loop puts it out there in their training. It's going to be way better than you scrapping and calling and getting frustrated and undoing and redoing and wasting time contract after contract. So it's going to be better if you'll just spend a little time. Each video, each thing that you read isn't going to take you very long, but it's down at the bottom. Help Center. You might have to go into your account. Nevertheless, there are help videos, help lessons in dot loop. Okay, so think about that. Then I want you to remember, every time you do something, if you open a loop and you're getting a listing, or you're opening a loop and you're starting a contract, an offer, when you get all the signatures collected, and maybe you've already sent it over to the other agent or to your client, whatever, hit submit for review. Nancy can't go through and help you out if you haven't submitted for review. Does that make sense? All right, do the best you can, get it all filled out. It doesn't have to be perfect. That's what Nancy's for. Make her earn her money. Put it out to submit review as soon as you can. That way she can look at it. And she's not on her computer monitoring us 24/7, okay? So don't wait until the day before you're closing or whatever for her to look at it, because that's the process for you to get your DA signed. Nancy goes through and says, up until that point, everything is done and done properly. Then she sends me a text and says, hey, this address is ready for a DA. Okay, so you, as soon as you get that offer submitted to the other agent, or as soon as you get that listing agreement signed by the seller, hit submit for review. Gotcha. All right, couple other things. When to use the buyer-broker agreement, okay? When you are representing the buyer, period, every time. And that's a requirement from the Real Estate Commission. So I need to have that buyer's broker agreement signed, filled out. There's dates in there. It obligates you and the buyer to each other. It protects you, helps you guarantee you're going to get paid during that period of time. You get to decide when you want to get it signed. If you want to meet somebody for the very first time, you've agreed to show them a property and you're not going to open the door unless they sign this, that's up to you. It's your business. I don't do it that way, but you certainly can. If they talk about maybe they're going with other agents and you want to just nail them down, it's like dating, you know, put a ring on it. If you want them to, you know, commit to you, get them to sign it as soon as possible. The easiest, probably the most passive way to do it, which I'm not necessarily recommending, but it is the easiest way, is in an offer. So you've shown them 14 houses over the past 2 weeks and they're finally ready to make an offer. And when you create that offer, you use the buyer's broker agreement. Okay, that's the legal, that's where the legal part of it comes in. You have to have that when you start to actually represent them. Showing them houses is not representing them, by the way. And your behavior depends on what you're saying too. I'll back that up just a little bit. Your behavior is what would determine if they think you're representing them. So get it in writing. But if you have the listing, let's say, and somebody wants to you've got a buyer who wants to purchase the listing you have, you can't be the buyer representative. You're already representing the seller. You can't represent them both. You can certainly be honest in your dealings with both parties, Okay, so you don't have a listing agreement and a buyer's broker agreement. Okay, you're not representing both sides of the transaction. Keep that in mind. So if you have the buyer, get that thing signed as soon as you're comfortable, and be consistent. If every time you meet somebody for the very first time you get that signed, you do that all the time. It's to make sure you're not discriminating against anybody. Okay, so if you're not going to do it every time, fine. Don't do it don't do it in the very beginning. If you're going to wait until you've had maybe your second meeting and you then want to establish the ground rules, maybe that's a nice segue and say, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, I've really enjoyed getting to know you and helping you with your real estate search. If we're going to move forward, I want to establish our relationship. I want to be your buyer's representative. That might be a nice, easy segue. That way they know you're working for them. Okay? So keep that in mind. If you get into a situation where you've already got the buyer's broker agreement signed and then they want to see your listing and make an offer on your listing, call me. We'll talk about that on the side. That's a case-by-case basis, but I have some suggestions for you. All right. Final thing, when to use the disclosure of brokerage duties. Okay? If you have the listing and you've used the OREC listing form, which is what I want all of my single agents to be doing. Welcome Home Team has something else going on, but all of my single agents, you're using the OKC MAR listing agreement. Everything that is in the disclosure of brokerage duties is in the OREC listing agreement. So you do not have to have that disclosure of brokerage duties. Doesn't hurt my feelings if you want to do it. It's twice as much. If you've got a savvy seller, he may look at the two and go, hey, this is a duplicate, and he's right. Okay? So if you're using the OREC form, you do not have to use the disclosure of brokerage duties. When you're writing an offer, you do use it because the disclosure of brokerage duties is different than the buyer's broker agreement. Okay? So if you've got the buyer, you're doing the disclosure of brokerage services and the buyer's broker agreement. Okay? All the paperwork. Okay? Don't forget the other things that we have in there that are marked required. If you have any questions and you need me to explain any reasoning behind why I use some forms, I'm happy to explain them to you. And if you have another point of view, I'm happy to entertain that. It's because of one of our agents that said she thought the disclosure of brokerage duties was redundant, and it is, if you're using the OREC listing agreement. All right, guys. If you want some earrings, let me know. If you need anything, please call me at any time. I'm so glad you're on our team. Have a great weekend.